Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's Shazam, Fury of the Gods, aka Shazam 2. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there, and I'll link my pages as well. So I'm going to do a spoiler-free version as much as possible to begin with here, and then I'll go into the spoilers of this. So if you've seen Shazam, the first movie, of course, this continues on from that as well. A few recasting. Basically, Mary Marvel's the only one that's been recast, out of the main group from the first movie. Um, but we have the group that are, they're in Philadelphia and they're doing their superhero thing, and they're trying to, I should say. And what the gist of this whole story is that the daughters of Atlas, which you've seen in the trailer, are pissed off that the heroes have the power of their basically their siblings, their parents, all that kind of stuff. That they've basically they think the children have stolen those powers, and they want them back. And also as penance, they want to make humans suffer because they're gods, daughters of Atlas, Hespera and Calypso, being them. And this is what happens when your movie can't use its real main villain, Black Adam, because there's a real world villain, Dwayne Johnson, who doesn't want anything to do with Shazam and doesn't want to, distance himself from that. So you end up with the Daughters of Atlas, is what happens in all of this. Um, I really like the first movie. I'll say this much: the first Shazam was one of those movies that I had hopes that DC was kind of writing itself. The DC universe was kind of writing itself and was going in the right direction, and then it didn't. And then now we'll see what happens with James Gunn and Peter Seraphine. But Shazam 2 is the final gasp, if you will. Actually, I think Aquaman 2 is going to be the final gasp of Walter Hamada's reign. And uh, yeah, that's all I can say is I'm glad this is over with at this point. This movie's okay. It's it's messy in places. There's a lot of messy stuff in there. Um, and I'll say this much: I saw it for a free ticket. I had a free movie voucher that I used, and yeah, I kind of wish I didn't. I could have waited till it came out on streaming. So, is it worth your time? No, not really. It's not worth your time seeing in the theater. Now, streaming, yes, it's definitely worth watching it streaming. Um, but yeah, it's not worth it in the theaters. It really isn't. I go to theaters now to see spectacle movies. That's what it is. Yes, I know the art house movies, all that kind of stuff. They want you to go to the movie theater, go and watch it. Sorry, man. If I'm going to be spending $20 a ticket, I want to be wowed. Why am I going to be in the theater? Why am I going to see something on a big screen that, granted, depending on what theater you go to, sometimes has questionable visual effect, visuals, questionable sound, all that kind of stuff. You get interrupted by other patrons in the theater, all that kind of stuff. That is the reason why I want spectacle when I'm seeing these movies. This does not meet that spectacle to me. It has spectacle, I have to admit, but it isn't quite there. Special effects are okay. They're not great, uh, but they're decent enough. So there are after credits, by the way, scenes as well. And There's two after credit scenes. There's a mid credit scene, and then of course an end credit scene there. And so yeah, it really wasn't worth my time on that one. So like I said, streaming is okay, but in theater, not worth it. So let's go to the spoilers. How about that? Shall we? Then we could talk specifics on that. So, spoiler alert, from here on out, I am going to ruin the movie for you. If you haven't seen the movie, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section, or you can just stay and be spoiled, however you want to do it. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to say peace out, whatever you need to do, pause, all that. Okay, there we go. So the whole thing with the wizard coming back was confusing because I thought that was supposed to be because he gave up his power, the Shazam power. That was it for him, and his longevity was done, and he dissipated. He's back, and why I love Digimon Honshu. I don't understand how he came back. They didn't really explain it all that well, or at all, really. They kind of went, yeah, he's back. And yeah. Mm. Morks, I have to admit, Lucy Liu, I I hate to say this, but she was just kind of there. Helen Mirren, God bless her, but I think she did this for the money, quite honestly. This felt like she was just there for the ticket. Yeah. Helen Mirren did not need to be in this. The girl who plays Anna slash what's her face? Anthea was okay, but she seemed like she was still doing, she still had a little bit of High School Musical kind of stuff going on when in her acting, and just wasn't there yet. So it was okay, but yeah. Um I do have to admit though, Darla, the girl who plays Darla, fucking makes me laugh. Young Darla is what I'm talking about. Megan Good as superhero Darla, also by the way, is great. Uh, Basically my favorite character out of the entire movie. And by the way, Megan Good, I forgot that she was in Anchorman 2. She was actually Ron Burgundy's boss in Anchorman 2, and I actually had been watching it again on Amazon Prime and was streaming it, and I was like, holy fuck, that's right, Megan Good. So yeah, but Darla, um the whole thing with the unicorns and how she's invested in these unicorns, and of course the daughters of Atlas are they plant the seed of life into Earth to bring the realm of the gods to Earth, I guess is what was going on. And also they birth mythological creatures, so you're getting cyclopses and harpies and minotaurs and things like that that are running amok through Philadelphia. And also so Darla asks, well, what is afraid of these other mythological creatures? And the wizard says unicorns. They're the most vile creatures, whatever. And so of course they go and search for the unicorns. They find one, and she knows, well, the wizard tells her that unicorns like ambrosia. It's very basically a sweet thing. And so she feeds it Skittles, is what she does, which the unicorn loves and becomes their friends. And so they're riding fucking unicorns through and killing mythological creatures. But the thing that made me laugh the fucking hardest, because I've actually said this before, was Darla's riding through on the back of a unicorn. She says, "Taste the rainbow, motherfuckers!" And they cut out, of course, the fucker. She got mother out, and she gets to the F. She goes, and then that's when it cuts out. But I've actually said that, taste the rainbow, motherfuckers. Uh, Totally different context, of course, but that was the thing that made me laugh the fucking hardest out of this movie. That scene alone was pretty much the most decent scene out of that movie. The rest of it, yeah, I could live without it. It The whole thing with Shazam, Billy Batson giving his life at the end, and in order to destroy this tree, so that it basically, the tree, the seed of life that ended up on Earth, got corrupted because it was in the wrong soil, and was going to tear the earth apart. So the seed of life, by the way, is what the daughters of Atlas needed in order to revive their realm, the realm of the gods. And instead of planting it in the realm of the gods, they ended up deciding to plant it on Earth. So that's your crux, your MacGuffin in a nutshell, is what we've got going on there. So Billy Batson is able to make a deal with Hespera, or not make a deal with Hespera. He kind of talks and says, "Hey, your sister Calypso is a fucking nut. You need to restrain her because she's already gored you. You're dying. Uh, make the dome that you have over the city, close in on the tree there, along with your sister, and I'll take her out." Yeah. He gave his life not to be in Shazam 3. Well, almost, except that at the very end, they bury Shazam's body, Billy Batson's body, at the tree in the God realm, because Anthea is going to, you know, reside there, and there's no gods to basically bring life back to the valley, if you will. But there is one god left, and that's where we get the cameo of Wonder Woman. Now, I say Wonder Woman in quotations because Gal Gadot did not show up. She had a body double, and they deep faked her face onto the body double. I shit you not. This is actually what happened. So I remember because I was watching it and I'm like, there's something off about her. I don't know what it is because she wasn't talking a lot. She says like one or two lines, but there was something that was off. It didn't feel right. There was like some uncanny valley thing going on in the face. I wasn't sure what it was. And then when I found out later, I think it was a couple days later, I read that Gal Gadot was not in the movie, that they deep faked her face onto another model. I was like, oh, that's why the body's wrong, the movements are wrong, um, and the facial features weren't working right for me. I I noticed these little details, and it was something that was just off about it. I couldn't really put my finger on it, but that's what it was. So she ends up bringing Shazam back to life and life back to the God Valley and whatnot. And that is your cameo that you've got there. So and then of course you have your end credit scene, which we see Dr. Sylvana still in prison 2 years later. He's got writings all over the wall. And remember, the worm had come to see him, and at the end of the first one, and said that he's working on something, and just to wait. And so the worm shows up again and says, "I'm back." And Sylvana's like, "Great, I've been here for 2 years. What the fuck is going on?" And the worm says, "I've got more plans. But I've got little tiny legs. It takes me forever to get any place. That's the reason why, I'll be back," is what he says. And he wanders off. That's the joke, is that most likely, you're not going to see a Shazam 3, most likely, out of all of this. Considering that, Zachary Levi started going off on an anti-vax thing, or a couple weeks before this movie came out. And yeah, it's one of the worst things you could do before you're actually getting ready to start a multi-million dollar movie, is you start off on some controversial shit on Twitter. So, and you wonder why the movie doesn't do well. So there's a couple things of the reason why this movie didn't do well. Um, One, you didn't have Shazam's main villain, Black Adam, in it because of Dwayne Johnson. He didn't want to be associated with it. He actively, somehow he was able to wrangle, and you can look into all the articles about this. It's out there. Somehow he was able to convince Walter Hamada that Shazam and Black Adam should never be together in the same movie. Oh, and there's another end credit scene, a mid credit scene, by the way, that um, James Gunn's wife and the fat dude from Peacemaker end up going to recruit Shazam for the Justice Society of America, which of course Black Adam is a part of. Now, the original concept was that Hawkman and Cyclone were supposed to, from the Justice Society, were supposed to recruit him. Um, and of course, Dwayne the Rock Johnson did not want that in there. So that's the reason why this didn't happen. And that's the reason why we got Mrs. James Gunn and Steve G, I believe is what his name or something like that. Yeah. That's who we got instead. So very anticlimactic. It's like, okay, so he's part of the Justice, and of course they both work for Amanda Waller, who is supposedly running the Justice Society of America. So that also just seemed kind of odd. All I can say is I'm glad this universe is getting wiped clean, and that we're starting over again with James Gunn and Peter Seraphim. Um, I'm just not happy with any of this. It was so going back to why did this movie not make the numbers that it's supposed to? So you don't have the main villain that you really should have in this movie. Two, your main star starts talking about controversial shit before the movie comes out, so people are turned off by that, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm probably not going to see this till it comes out streaming." And three, the movie doesn't matter in the scheme of things because all the old regime that this movie started under, which remember he started filming like 2 years ago, somewhere around there, no longer exists, and the DCEU no longer exists. Now you're going to DC, well, it's DC Studios now at this point, and that's the reason why your movie tanks because no one wants to go and watch a canceled show. It's the Netflix syndrome, where Netflix releases, the 3rd season of a canceled show, and people are like, "Well, why should I fucking bother watching it?" You know? Um, yeah, yeah, and that's what it is in a nutshell, is that, people are looking at this as a canceled TV series or a canceled series in general. Why bother going to pay for it and seeing it in the movie when it's gonna come out on streaming? And that's the 4th thing too, is everything keeps coming out on streaming so quickly now at this point. Um, why bother going to pay $20, like I said, $20 per ticket to go and see this in the theater when you can just wait till it comes out on streaming or watch it in the pleasures of your own home where you can actually pause, sit around in your underwear or even less, depending on whatever your proclivities are, and or watch it while you're shitting on the toilet, something like that. So yeah, all of those things combined have added to the reason why this movie is not making the money that they were expecting. And I think this actually has to go back to I think movie studios are going to have to start rethinking how they're making movies, and especially these big movies like this, where you can't start pumping $200 million into a movie now in order to do this. You're not going to be making some of those, those that money back. You need to start making movies cheaper again. You need to start thinking about the story again. You need to start thinking about the plot. You need to start thinking about the runtime, editing that shit down. And you also need to keep your directors and you know under some kind of reign, someone under some kind of control, if you will, in order to keep those costs down if you want it to be cost effective. And also you need to market it correctly too. So see him works. Um, it's all these things are adding up all into it. And that's the reason why it failed, or is failing, I should say. I hate to say it. And again, it's just an okay movie. It's just a mediocre movie. It's not a mediocre movie, I should say. It's just an okay movie. Something that I didn't need to see in the theater. I could have watched at home. So there you have it. Enough. I've belabored it. I've beat the horse to death, and I'm going to let you go at this point. So, what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow I'm going to be off. Sunday I'm going to be off. Monday I'm going to be off. Tuesday I'm going to come back with Another Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's going to be Dungeons and Dragons, uh, Honor Among Thieves. I couldn't remember what the tagline was. Honor Among Thieves. There we go. I'll be talking about that on Tuesday. Wednesday, of course, will be The Mandalorian. Thursday will be the season finale and most likely the series finale of The Bad Batch, Star Wars The Bad Batch. So that's what's going to be happening next week. So with that said, thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still you're still on the fence about subscribing out there, you know who you are. Take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see here, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at that schedule. I have it up. I change it every week. Also, I have the links to all my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. Also, I have future stuff in there. What's coming up? Not everything, of course, but a good majority of genre stuff coming out to the end of the year here. So I've got future stuff on that schedule as well. So take a look at it. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to let you go. Have a good rest of your night. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may end up getting both yourself and Henry Cavill fired because, you wanted to be a dick about it and restrict. Never mind. Sorry, that's somebody else altogether. That's a different movie. That was called Black Adam. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again on Tuesday. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, get the boosters as well. It doesn't work without the boosters. And stay safe out there, everyone. Thanks. Have a good rest of your night and have a good weekend out there, too. Play safe out there. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your night. Good night.